Good morning, students. Today we are going to see the lesson is The Night the Bed Fell, written by James Thurber. Already I have given the summary of the lesson. What is the name of the lesson? The Night the Bed Fell. Author of the story is James Thurber. Now we are going to see about the details of the author. James Thurber was an American author, a cartoonist, a journalist and a playwright. Thurber's cartoons and short stories were published regularly in The New Yorker. He went blind in both eyes, but that never stopped him from writing or drawing. One of the most popular humorists of his time, Thurber won many awards, including a Tony and an Emmy Award. So, he was an American author, cartoonist, journalist and a playwright. Thurber's cartoons and short stories always published in the New Yorker, that means the magazine, famous magazine of New York. He went blind in both eyes due to an accident, but he never stopped his writings and his drawings also. One of the most famous humorists of time. He was one of the most famous humorists. What is the meaning of humorist? He has given more novels about humor. Thurber won many awards, including Tony and Emmy Award. Okay, we all have memories of funny incidents that have happened in our lives. Many of them have everyone rolling in laughter every time they are retold. So in our life, we all have a funny incidents. When we are retold that, each and every time we are laughing, isn't it? That like one funny incident only we are going to see in this story, The Night the Bed Fell. So the narrator only explained the story. So I suppose that the high watermark of my youth in Columbus, Ohio was the night the bed fell on my father. It makes a better recitation than it is a piece of writing, for it is almost necessary to throw furniture around, shake doors and bark like a dog to lend the proper atmosphere and verisimilitude to what is admittedly a somewhat incredible tale. Still it did take place. So this is the incident of the narrator's own life when he was lived in the Columbus in Ohio. That night the bed fell on his father. That is incredible tale. So the author was retold the incident again and again. So it has completed in the memory very strongly. So it happened then my father had decided to sleep in the attic one night to be away where he could think. My mother opposed the notion strongly because she said the old wooden bed up there was unsafe. It was wobbly and the heavy headboard would crash down on father's head in case the bed fell and kill him. There was no dissuading him, however, and at 10:15 he closed the attic door behind him and went up the narrow twisting stairs. We later heard ominous creaking as he crawled into bed. Grandfather, who usually slept in the attic bed when he was with us, had disappeared some days before. So it happened that day the father wanted to decide to sleep in the attic because he could think separately. But mother was opposed to the notion strongly. Notion means a belief about something. So what is the meaning of notion? A belief about something. So mother opposed. What does that notion means? The bed, the wooden bed was unsafe because it was wobbly. Wobbly means unsteady. So the heavy crash board would crash down on father's head in case the bed fell on kill him. So she opposed the incident, but father refused that. He wanted to sleep in the attic, so he didn't listen that words and he went to the narrow twisting stairs and closed the attic door. Then they have heard the ominous creaking. Ominous creaking means a threatening sound. A threatening sound they have heard. Grandfather, those who are usually sleep in the attic, he went somewhere before some days. So we had visiting us this time, nervous, my first cousin of mine named Brixbell, who believed that he was likely to cease breathing when he was asleep. It was his feeling that if he were not awakened every hour during the night, he might die of suffocation. He had been accustomed to setting an alarm clock to ring in intervals until morning, but a persuaded him to abandon this. He always fear had when he was sleeping he might die of suffocation, so he setting an alarm in a particular interval. But I told to insist, the narrator told to leave the bad things, don't, this is not a good thing, like that. He slept in my room and I told him that I was such a light sleeper that if anybody quit breathing in the same room with me, I would wake instantly. He tested me the first night, which I had suspected that he would, by holding his breath after my regular breathing, had convinced him I was asleep. So I told again and again to stop this incident because I was a light sleeper. Light sleeper means if we heard simple noise also we have get up immediately. So like that the narrator character. So he told stop this activity like that, but he didn't leave this. I was not asleep, however, and called to him. This seemed to allay his fears a little, but he took the precaution of putting a glass of spirits of camphor on a little table at the head of the bed, in case I didn't arouse him until he was almost gone. He said he would sniff the camphor, a powerful reviver. So not only the alarm but also he kept a glass of spirits of camphor. Camphor means that is a strong smell it had. He put his table in case I didn't, the narrator didn't arouse him, he would sniff the camphor, it be a powerful reviver. So it came to the conscience of Brixwell. So he had a setting alarm and also a glass of spirit in the table. Briggs was the not only member of the family who had his crotchets. Old Aunt Melissa Bell suffered under the premonition that she was destined to die on South High Street because she had been born on South High Street and married on South High Street. Then there was Aunt Sarachov who never went to bed at night without the fear that the burglar was going to get in and blow chloroform under her door through a tube. So Briggs only, not only the crotchets. Crotchets means a belief or fear that has no basis. A crotchets means a belief or fear without no basis. Briggs only, not these characters of crotchets. The old Aunt Melissa also had a fear. He was die only in the South High Street because he was born on South High Street, married on South High Street. So she thought that she would die in the South High Street only. So the another and Sarachov, who never went to bed at night, she was had a chloroform fear. That means a burglar came into the night and throw a chloroform into the tube to his to the Sarachov. So she had a fear of chloroform. What is the meaning of chloroform? A chloroform and anesthetic. It is used to make people unconscious. So what is the use of chloroform? Used to make people unconscious. Usually the medical peoples are used in the chloroform. So to avoid this calamity, for she was in greater dread of anesthetics than of losing her household goods, she always piled her money, silverware and other valuable things in a next stack just outside her bedroom. For the fear of burglar about the chloroform, she piled all her things, silverware, money, everything he piled in one place and keep in the outside of the room, outside of the bedroom, with a short note, "This is all I have, please take it and do not use your chloroform, as this is all I have. So I had all the things hand over to you, don't use your chloroform." Like that she had written one notes. So the third aunt is Aunt Gracie Chouf. She also had a burglar phobia, but she met it with more fortitude. She was confident that burglar had been getting into her house every night for 4 years. The aunt Gracie Chouf also had a fear of burglar phobia. Burglar phobia means the fear about the thief, but she met the incident with more fortitude. Fortitude means courage. Fortitude means courage, so that the fact that she never missed anything was to her no proof to the contrary. She always claimed that she scared them off before they could take anything by throwing shoes down the hallway. The burglar didn't come to the house, didn't take anything, but she had a fear. Every 4 years they have come usually. So she collected the shoes in the family members and throwing shoes down in the hallway. So each and every night she threw the shoes in the hallway. Some nights she threw couple of shoes and some nights she threw all the shoes. But I am straying from the remarkable incidents that took place during the night the bed fell on father. But that remarkable incident happened one night. That particular night, what happened? By my midnight we were all in bed. The layout of the rooms and the disposition of their occupants is important to an understanding of what later occurred. In the front room upstairs, just under father's attic bedroom, were my mother and my brother Herman, who sometimes sang in his sleep. So my mother and brother Herman, what is the character of Herman? He always sing a song when he was sleeping. So they both of them were sleeping in one room. That room is under the father's attic bedroom, and Briggbells and myself were in a room adjoining this one. Briggbells and myself means the narrator. Both of them were sleeping in the adjoining room, the nearest room. My brother Roy and was in a room across the hall from us. My another brother Roy was also sleeping in one room, and my Rex slept in the hall. Rex means the dog of the family. Rex slept in the hall. My bed was an army cot. My bed was an army cot. Army cot means the cot is different from normal cot. They have given some pictures. If you see the net means you can see the army cot. So one of those affairs which are made wide enough to sleep on comfortably only by putting up flat with the middle section, the two sides which ordinarily hang down like the sideboards of drop leaf table. When these sides are up, it is perilous to roll to forward the edge, for then and coat is likely to tip completely over, bringing the whole bed down on top one with a tremendous banking crash. The bed is very comfortable. It is when we trying to turn this side, maybe it is perilous to roll too far toward the edge. So this fact is precisely what happened about 2 o'clock in the morning. Always a deep sleeper, slow to arouse. So the narrator ready to arouse the bricks fell. That time it was at first unconscious of what had happened when the iron cart rolled me onto the floor and toppled over on me. It left me still warmly bundled up and unhurt, for the bed rested above me like a canopy. So I tried to call the bricks. That time my cart rolled me on the floor and toppled over on me. It looked like a canopy. Canopy means a covered, that like a roof. That cot is covered me. So hence I did not wake up, only reached the edge of consciousness and went back. If less consciousness only come back, and it went back immediately. The racket, however, instantly awakened my mother in the next room. He came to the immediate conclusion that her worst dread was realized. The big wooden bed upstairs had fallen on father. So the noise here, my mother's heard the noise and she has come in conclusion immediately. What means the attic bed only crashed down and fell on his father's head. So she thought that, she therefore screamed, "Let go to your poor father." It was this about shout rather than the noise of my cot falling that awakening Herman in the same room with her. So the noise awakening Herman, the brother of narrator, in the same room. He thought that mother had become for no apparent reason hysterical. Hysterical means became uncontrollably emotional. So why mother shouting hysterically, "You are all right, mama?" So she consoled the mother, "You are all right, mama?" She shouted, trying to calm her. He shouted and trying to calm the mother. They exchanged shout for perhaps 10 seconds. "Let's go to your poor father." Mother told the same things. "Let's go to your poor father." Herman told, "You are all right, mama. You are all right, mama." That woke up bricks. That sound woke up the bricks. By this time I was conscious of what was going on in a vague way, but did not yet realize that I was under my bed instead of in it. I can understand what was happening, but I can't wake up. Bricks awakening in the midst of loud shouts of fear and apprehension came to the quick conclusion that he was suffocating and that we were all trying to bring him out. He thought that he might die of suffocation, so everyone was shouting. So with a low moan, he grasped the glass of camphor at the head of his bed. Instead of sniffing it, poured it over himself. The room reeked of camphor. It choked bricks like a drowning man, for he had almost succeeded in stopping his breathing under the deluge and pungent spirits. Brixbell thought that he might die of suffocation, so he take the camphor. Instead of sniff that, he poured himself for the fear. So he was like a drowning man because of the very strong smell of the spirit. He leaped out of bed and groped toward the open window, but he came up against one that was closed. With his hand, he beat out the glass, and I could hear it crash and tinkle on the alleyway below. He leaped out of it. He immediately get up the bed and he tried to open the window. It is the glass window, so he would hear the crash sound and tinkle on the alleyway below. He tried to open the window. It was at this juncture that I am trying to get up and had the uncanny sensation of feeling my bed above me. So this is uncanny. This is an amazing situation for me. I am trying to get up, but I can't get up. But I have to know what was happening here. Foggy with sleep, I now suspected in my turn, with the whole uproar was being made in frantic endeavor to extricate me from what must be an unheard of and a perilous situation. "Get me out of this," I howled. "Get me out." Note, I think I had the nightmarish belief that I was entrapped in a mine. So foggy meant unable to think properly. So I now suspected the turn. What is happening here? They are shouting, he is trying to open the window. So this is uncanny situation for me. So I was shouted, get me out this, like that. But I think I had the nightmares. I thought that this is a bad dream for me. So Briggs gasped, floundering in his camper. He was drowning now also. By this time my mother, still shouting, pursued by Herman, still shouting, was trying to open the door to the attic in order to go up and get my father's body out of the wreckage. The door was stuck, however, and wouldn't yield. His frantic pulse on it only added to the general banging and confusion. My mother and Herman went to the attic and tried to open the door because they have to save my father. So Roy and the dog were now up, and one shouting questions, the other barkings. Roy was shouting, the Rex was barking. Father, farthest away and soundest sleeper of all, had by this time had been awakened by the battering on the attic door. He decided that the house was on fire. My father, he was a sound sleeper. Sound sleeper means easily they can't awaken. So the father thought that the house was firing, so that everyone making noise. Like that father have to decide, I'm coming. He wailed in a slow sleepy voice. It took him many minutes to regain full consciousness. My mother, still believing he was caught under the bed, detected in his I'm coming the mournful resigned note of one who is preparing to meet his maker. He is dying, she shouted. My father make the noise, I am coming, but my mother thought that he was in dangerous position, so he was telling like this, I'm all right. Briggs yelled to reassure her. I'm all right. He still believed that it was his own closeness to death that was worrying mother. Briggs thought that I'm all right, I'm all right, because he thought that always worrying about him. I found at last the night switch in my room, unlocked the door, and Briggs and I joined the others the attic door. Finally, the narrator found the light switch and unlocked the door, and Briggs and the narrator went to the attic. The dog, who never did like Briggs, jumped for him, assuming that he was culprit. A culprit meant guilty person. In whatever was going on, Roy had to throw Rex and hold him. The Rex thought that Briggs was only culprit, guilty person, like that. We could hear father crawling and off bed upstairs. Roy pulled the attic door open with a mighty jerk, and father came downstairs, sleepy and irritable, but safe and sound. My mother began to weep when she saw him. Rex began to howl. What in the name of God is going on here? Asked my father. Finally, my father came down and opened the window. The situation was finally put together like a gigantic jigsaw puzzle. Father caught a cold from prowling around in his bare feet, but there were no bad results. I am glad, said my mother. Father told to my mother, I am glad, I am okay, nothing happened. Who always looked on the bright side of things. So that your grandfather wasn't here. Grandfather only not in the room, so he didn't see the incident. So the whole incident finished happily. Okay students, I hope you have understand the lesson, The Night the Bed Fell, written by James Thurber. Thank you students.